Searching for fulfillment. Making the most of your life. An individual who cannot see beyond their own self-interests and self-glorification is destined to be small, petty, and limited. On the other hand, a life of service and self-devotion knows no bounds. By aligning oneself with the universal, a leader gains tremendous power. They soar on the wings of an eagle, and nature herself provides the means and materials to accomplish their goals. The great universal truths flow through them, molding and moving their audience. A leader is not someone who merely speaks pieces of content that someone else has prepared, but rather someone who molds the minds and hearts of their listeners with universal and eternal truths, urging them towards a definite line of action. Persuasiveness is not just about the freeing of bodily agents or developing one's voice. It is about having a clear conception, a high purpose, a firm resolve, and a dauntless spirit that speaks through every feature and urges the whole person onward towards their objective. Self-devotion, patriotism, and high purpose are the chief words that a leader must embody. These qualities are essential and powerful, far outweighing any technical skills. A leader who lives a life of service and self-devotion has no limits. They possess the power to move mountains and inspire change. It is only by embodying these essential qualities that one can truly become a leader. Are you driven by the ambition to become a great? Take note of the very first thing, the word itself, public servant, a person who dedicates their life to the service of the community. Do you not recognize that when one says a person who gives their life to the service of the community, it is but another way of saying a person who gives their life to the service of his fellow citizens? For what is any country or state, in the true sense of the term, but the aggregate of its individual citizenship? To become a public servant, one must be a larger person than someone who lives for and unto oneself, putting their own interests before the interests of the thousands. Recall the greatest individuals in the world, both living and dead, and you will quickly see that the life of each and every one has been built upon this great principle. All have been great and are held as such in just the degree in which they have lived by this principle. Out of the countless individuals who have graced the halls of the American Congress since its inception, only a small fraction of them are worth remembering. In fact, you may only be able to recall around 50 of them, which amounts to an insufficient 1 out of every 1,000 or so. However, what sets these select few apart is their unwavering commitment to advancing measures and principles that would significantly enhance the well-being of humanity. These individuals are true elected officials, fulfilling the noble duties of their office. Unfortunately, our country is currently plagued by a severe shortage of elected officials. Instead, we are inundated with a swarm of politicians who are only interested in serving their own selfish interests. These individuals are not concerned with representing the best interests of their constituents, but rather with advancing their own agendas and amassing personal wealth and power. This problem is particularly acute in our municipalities, where corrupt officials are all too common. Instead of being led by individuals who are committed to serving the public good, many municipalities are controlled by self-serving politicians who will stop at nothing to achieve their goals, even if it means resorting to dishonorable tactics. It is time for us to wake up and recognize the sad state of affairs in our country. We must demand more from our elected officials and hold them accountable for their actions. Only then can we hope to create a society that truly serves the interests of all its citizens. Are our public offices filled with people who are there to serve the public good or those who are only interested in self-enrichment? Unfortunately, this degraded condition exists not only in our great cities but in almost every corner of our country. However, this cannot continue forever. The American people will soon realize that when they unite and stand together, the corrupt political rings cannot stand before them for even a day. The power of the right, the good, and the true is all-encompassing and will inevitably conquer when brought to the forefront. This is the history of civilization. We must fill our public offices with elected officials who love humanity, elected officials who are dedicated to the great law of service. We need elected officials who are large in spirit and whose lives are founded on the principles of selflessness and devotion to others. We must never allow the word politician to be degraded by applying it to those who are self-centered and unable to rise above their own interests. If you aspire to become a great preacher or teacher, remember that the greatest among us have been those who have given themselves completely to the service of others. They have left no room for self-interest and have devoted themselves entirely to those they have come in contact with. Let us enter public life as men and women of integrity, as elected officials, not as barnacles. Let us be bold in our pursuit of a better world, one where public service is a noble calling and where the good of the people is always the highest priority. Together, we can create a brighter future for ourselves and for generations to come. These individuals are not fame seekers, nor do they waste their time discussing their own dogmatic beliefs in order to prove their superiority. This self-centered behavior is an abomination in the eyes of God and the majority of mankind. Thankfully, society is becoming less tolerant of such individuals. It is because of people like them, especially in the early days of religion, that the true spirit of Christianity has been lost. The basket in which it has been carried has been deemed more important than the rare and divinely beautiful fruit itself. The true spirit, which gives life and power, has been replaced by the letter, which only blights and kills. Instead of chasing after man-made theories that we outgrow every few years, we must act wisely and go into the silence to commune with the infinite Holy Spirit of all life and power. This is the only way to gain true power. Let us not be like those who have lost sight of the true spirit of religion, but rather let us seek the divine and live in its power. Instead of aimlessly searching for fulfillment in stagnant pools, parched by the relentless rays of a self-centered sun, seek out the grand fountainhead of life itself. There, you will find the water of life, freely flowing for all who dare to drink from it. But beware, for you cannot send another to fetch it for you. You must go into the silence, even if only for a brief period each day, and connect with the great source of all power and knowledge. Send forth your earnest desires, and with unwavering expectation, they will come to fruition. All truth, wisdom, power, and everything else you could ever desire is within your grasp, if only you seek it in this way. This method has been tried and tested countless times, and has never once failed when pursued with pure intentions and a clear understanding of the results. Within a couple of weeks, you too can experience the truth of this for yourself. The greatest teachers throughout history have all attained their power through this very same method. So, do not waste another moment searching for fulfillment in the wrong places. Instead, boldly seek out the source of all power and knowledge, and drink deeply from the water of life. It is there for the taking, if only you have the courage to claim it. Humanity will not care about you until you have demonstrated that you care for humanity. Therefore, unless you possess the capacity to forget yourself for the greater good, for the service of humanity, your potential for success is limited. However, if you can influence the minds and souls of others by putting their needs before your own, the heights you can reach are limitless. As you contemplate this, understand that the great law of life is that you will only find your own life by losing it in the service of others. The more you give of yourself, the more fulfilling, richer, grander, and happier your life will become. With your abundant resources and opportunities, build your life upon this great law of service and experience the pleasure of growing into a full, rich, ever-increasing, and satisfying life. This will make you honored and blessed, for you will be living the highest life that this world can offer. You will remember the day when you look back and see the emptiness and insignificance of a life lived for oneself, and you will be grateful that your better judgment prevailed and saved you. If your ambition is to accumulate great wealth and acquire a renowned name, along with happiness and satisfaction, remember that whether or not you achieve these goals depends entirely on how you use and distribute your wealth. If you view it as a private trust to be used for the betterment of humanity, then you will achieve your desires. However, if your objective is to hoard and accumulate wealth, then neither happiness nor satisfaction will come to you. You will find that life is unsatisfactory and unfulfilling. There is no greatness in material things themselves, their greatness is determined entirely by how they are used and shared. The truest form of greatness in this world is unselfish love, service, and self-devotion to our fellow human beings. It is a concept that requires careful consideration, for what could be more foolish than a life spent accumulating wealth, hoarding it away, and denying oneself and others the joys and pleasures that make life worth living? Imagine a man who spends his entire existence amassing a fortune, always eager for more, and growing increasingly grasping as he nears the end of his days. He lies down, dies, and leaves behind a pile of wealth that he can never use. It is just like a man who spends his life collecting old iron and sitting on it day after day, denying himself and those around him the joys of life. The two scenarios may seem vastly different, but they belong to the same general class. It is a class of individuals who have lost sight of what truly matters in life. They have become so consumed with their possessions that they have forgotten the importance of love, service, and selflessness. Let us not be like these individuals. Let us strive for greatness in the form of unselfish love and service to our fellow human beings. Let us live a life that is rich in experiences, relationships, and memories. For in the end, it is not the size of our bank account or the amount of possessions we accumulate that truly matters. It is the impact we have on the world and the lives of those around us. It is an undeniable law of our being that we become what we think about the most. If we focus on noble and uplifting things, we grow in their likeness. However, if we focus on material possessions like gold, silver, copper, or iron, our souls, natures, and even our faces become hard and stern, stripped of their finer qualities. This is the great law of nature, and those who ignore it do so at their own peril. Many people start out with the intention of becoming masters of their own destiny, only to find themselves enslaved by their own greed for wealth. They spend their lives accumulating more and more, never realizing that their wealth has taken control of them. In the end, they die with nothing but a stunted soul, a pitiable sight indeed. But it doesn't have to be this way. We can choose to live our lives according to a different principle, one that measures success by our usefulness to others and the world around us. Private wealth is merely a trust to be used for the greater good of mankind. Those who embrace this principle become great and influential, their whole nature expanding as they become more generous, charitable, and honorable. They serve their state, their country, and their fellow human beings, leaving a lasting legacy that is remembered with gratitude and praise. So let us all embrace this mighty principle of service and live our lives boldly, with the knowledge that our success is measured not by what we accumulate, but by what we give back to the world. As individuals, we have the power to make a difference in the world. Our personal influence and example can inspire others to do good, but we can also use our wealth to create lasting change. By founding and endowing a great institution of learning, we can provide young men and women with the tools they need to make a direct and positive impact on the world. The true measure of greatness lies not in the accumulation of wealth, but in the service we provide to our fellow human beings. If we view our wealth as a private trust, and use it to benefit others, we will be remembered and honored long after our time on this earth has passed. This is the legacy we should strive to leave behind. However, we must also remember that true greatness comes from within. We must be guided by the principle that direct usefulness or service to mankind is the only real measure of true greatness. We must bring our lives into harmony with this principle, and invest in our own personal growth and character development. In the end, it is our personality, life, and character that matter most. Wealth is merely an incident, a means to an end. We must never forget that the greatest service we can provide is to invest in ourselves and others, to grow and increase our capacity for good. Let us be bold in our pursuit of true greatness, and let our lives be a testament to the power of service and selflessness. Remember, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law. And they that are Christ's have crucified the flesh with the affections and lusts. If we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit. Let us not be desirous of vainglory, provoking one another, envying one another. Peace. Make each day a blessed day, in Jesus' name.